After doing 20 sets of 20, you would think the following morning you would be feeling quite tired, lethargic, stiff, all the rest of it, especially getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and having a training session at that hour. But I've kind of woken up with the opposite. I feel fresh. I feel abnormally good. Instead of going to the left, I've gone to the right of that graph. I feel really good. Kind of better than normal, better than the normal distribution, that I usually feel. Like usually, you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, there's a bit of stiffness, there's a bit of this, that, the other. This morning I feel better than normally expected. And then you throw in yesterday's workout into the mix, into the thought, and you're like, hell's going on? What I think is going on is that my body is telling me something. Now, I know it's very wrong to come to like sudden conclusions and whatever, but when you constantly have your fingers on the pulse, when you're constantly looking for signs, symptoms, when you're constantly looking at how the body is presenting itself to you, to your observation, it's easy to kind of have a feel of what's going on. And that's kind of what I've always done. This morning I've woken up and my hips are feeling really, really good. Almost like I've kind of greased the groove. There's a whole bunch of oil in the joint and I feel like it's gliding. It's feeling fantastic. So I've come in and I've, gone through my squatting routine, and the whole time I'm like, oh, wow, that feels really, really good. Worked up to 160 kilos for one, and that's basically the session. A bit of a quicker session today. I think I've done all of this in about 20 minutes, something like that, 20 minutes. Kind of slept in a little longer. Usually I get up at 4:30. This morning I woke up at 5. Went to sleep at like 11 last night. So that's a 6-hour sleep. Not the most optimal, but then again, I'm adjusting for, the amount of sleep and the amount of resources I have. And this morning it's not a lot. Like 6 hours is not a lot, especially after yesterday's workout. This is why I gave myself a little bit extra time to sleep. Kind of didn't get to bed until later on. So that's how I'm doing it. No hard feelings about it, no nothing. This is kind of, you roll with the punches. Not enough sleep, a whole bunch of workout training session yesterday. And here I am. What does that mean? What am I thinking right now? Well, basically, I think that this 20 sets of 20 business is not a bad thing for me. The body responded really well. Obviously, I'll find out tomorrow as well how I pull up tomorrow. But so far, the symptoms are feeling fantastic. One thing that I kind of didn't mention yesterday, I was in a bit of a spree of my thoughts yesterday, so I forgot to mention this yesterday, but when I was doing those back extensions, those hypers, one thing I noticed was that positioning my feet on that plate does different things to my hips. So if I externally rotate my legs, obviously there's more glutes. But when I internally rotated my feet, kind of like to parallel, my feet pointing kind of in a parallel manner, what I was finding is that my adductors were coming more and more. And so I was getting a burning sensation through, I don't even know what adductor that is. I don't think it's the Magnus. I think it's the long one. Longus, I think it's called. I'm not 100% sure. But there was like a feeling running on the inside of my leg all the way down, like basically past the knee. The adductors are weird structures, man. Every time I read up about the adductors, it's kind of like they do everything. They do hip flexion, they do hip extension, they contribute to external rotation, they contribute to internal rotation. Like, what don't they do? I think that there's a case of we've just put a whole bunch of muscles into the same basket. So we call it the adductors because they're on the inside of our leg. But I think you could further classify them, to other groups. Obviously, they have their individual names. But when we say adductors, it's kind of like saying the legs. It's like there's a whole bunch of things going on here. Just because they find themselves on the same aspect of the femur, we just bunch them all together. So I don't know. The adductors are strange. They're really, really interesting muscle group. I recall a study, reading about a study long time ago. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago that I first came up with this. I think it was on T Nation. I used to read T Nation a whole bunch back in the day. And the guy basically said they were doing a study. They were doing like a CT study or something like this on people who have trained. And what they noticed was that there was a whole lot of thick tissue in the adductors, more so than any other muscle group. It was like a dense muscle group. So out of all the muscles that we use when we squat, they found that the adductors were kind of like, very, very dense, meaning that they're very used in human movement, especially squatting and whatnot. So anyway, playing with the foot orientation on the plate does something. So I'm gonna try and experiment those things moving forward. But all in all, I feel fantastic after a marathon of hypers yesterday. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Let me jump out of here and go to work and earn some money. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.